All right. It's like we're live. What's happening, guys? Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is your host Kushal Mehra. I'm really sorry about the last minute change today. Unfortunately, I was supposed to, have a guest on today at 9 p.m., but Pratisha messaged me a while ago, and she was like, she has very bad food poisoning. So can we postpone the podcast uh, by a few days? And I said yes. So we're gonna do that podcast probably. I think next week karenge. And then I was like, "Kya kare? Should I cancel it?" But then I was like, you know what? What the hell? I'm used to the idea of conducting monologues without really preparing anything. So just like my last three monologues, where basically I've packed my skill set to come up with something where I can ramble randomly for like 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and then I can have a nice Q&A with all of you where I'll just read the live comments and then I'll give my answers accordingly. So, I was thinking about what do I talk about it? What do I talk about? And I decided I'm going to talk about the concept of one-sided harmony. Now, I'll tell you why I'm going to talk about it. And it stems from a recent advertisement. I'm sure if you're living in India or you're connected to India, even if you're living outside India and you're connected to Indian politics or Indian socio-cultural affairs, you will be quite well versed with this advertisement. I'm just sharing the screen right now. Okay, so if you guys can see the screen, whoops, what happened here? I'm really sorry, guys. Okay, anyways, the screen was basically about an advertisement from Surf Excel. I've removed the screen shares. My computer had gone completely bonkers there. Anyways, so it was an advertisement about, I'll just give you a short rundown about the advertisement. So this is how the ad was. Uh, there's this girl, Hindu girl, who's on a bicycle. She gets out of her house in a alleyway or a walkway of a housing society, and she looks around. It's a Hindu festival of Holi, right? So she's like, oh, so I guess I have to do something. I'm gonna make sure that these people run out of their colors. So she basically drives a bicycle through that lane or alley, and everybody throws the colors or the water balloons on her, and eventually they run out of water balloons or colors or whatever you want to call it. And after that, basically she goes ahead into a house, and there comes a small cute little Muslim kid, and she says, now you can hop onto my bicycle. And he basically hops on the backside of the bicycle. She rides him to the mosque, and then he gets off, goes inside, and while going inside, he says, okay, I'll be back soon. And then she tells him in Hindi, वापस आने पर रंग लगेगा, or you might get the color. Anyways, this ad was there, and there was a lot of as I say, criticism of the ad. And a lot of people were up, you know, in some cases justifiably irritated. In some cases, I think the irritation was out of order, and I had made my own comments. I had created a thread on Twitter, which to my surprise had actually gone viral on Twitter. Like, usually my tweets don't even get 2 3 retweets. I think last I checked, this thread had like 2,500, 3,000, I don't know, whatever, for my standards, because I'm hardly very active on Twitter. But I guess my thoughts touched a raw nerve with some people, or some people agreed with it. But I wanted to take this advertisement head on. Now, I may not necessarily have a lot of problems with the ad itself, as in, okay, TK, they were just two kids and they did their thing and they moved on in their life, but whatever. But I think there is a fundamental problem. There is this premise. See, every thought process is built on some basic premises, or basic assumptions. And the assumption is this advertisement of Surf Excel, and the product was Surf Excel. Surf Excel was promoting harmony through this advertisement. Now, why do they think it is harmony? What basically they were trying to show is, look, there's this Muslim kid. He cannot be colored before he goes to the prayer. And there's this Hindu kid who really respects that, takes all the colors on her, protects this kid, sends the kid to the mosque, and then whatever happens after that. Now, I don't think so. This is necessarily harmony. I have many problems on many layers actually when it comes to this particular ad. First of all, they are pushing religion onto young kids. I mean, if anybody sees the ad, I don't think so. These kids were more than 5 to 7 years old. I'm being charitable if I think they're 7 years old. I don't think so. They must be more than 5 years old. But I had a huge problem to begin with this idea that they're shoving religion down the throat of young children. I mean, why won't you let children be children? I mean, when we were growing up, I really did not even understand what it meant to be a Hindu, other than the fact that my parents had written on my school calendar, Hindu. That's all. So there were a lot of assumptions that, these kids have understood religion at its core. That what it means, oh, I have to pray, I can't get this color on me. I have to go there. And then they assume that these kids understand this whole idea of, oh, this is how harmony is. We're supposed to do this. We're all supposed to do that. Now, I think this was not at all harmony. I think what this is based on is this typical trope that you're sold every time you live in the West for some odd reason. And the West is built on certain assumptions. I'm not saying they're good or bad assumptions. I'm saying I don't agree with those assumptions, a priori assumptions. I think those assumptions are based on a very Abrahamic binary view of the world. The West, even the secular West, by the way, which is far better than the religious West of the past, but even the secular West at times I feel is very binary in its thought process. And I'll explain why. Because their society is an outcome of Judeo-Christian ethics. Even when they rejected some of those things, they imbibed and absorbed certain assumptions within that ethical moral system. So, even they have to reject something, they're rejecting a Christian God. They may not necessarily know what other cultures talk about. So that is what I call the Western ship, or today we can call it the global ship. So even if that ship is the secular ship, or even if it's the Judeo-Christian, or in many cases the Islamic ship, they're pretty much one and the same thing. They don't really differ at a working level. They may differ at the value level, but at the basic template, how do I go about it? The ship is pretty clear. It's a boys-only club or a girls-only club. It is not a club that has a by default acceptance of diversity. I do not believe the Western club has a by default acceptance of diversity, but because what they call diversity is tolerance. And tolerance is not acceptance of diversity. Tolerance if you are tolerating someone, it does not mean you're accepting their point of view or accepting their way of life. You're just saying, I think you're a piece of shit, but you're here now, so I have to live with you, so I'll tolerate you. This is the fundamental way the Western ship is structured. That is how they believe their life should be. That's why that ad, that Surf Excel ad, was a brilliant example of that template. That template basically ghettoizes people. So you have this landmass, right? You might call that landmass England or the United States of America or Canada or Australia or New Zealand. We've just had this atrocious act in New Zealand. So what happens I have seen this in most countries because I've traveled around the world. I've been to Australia, I've lived in Canada, I've lived a while in America, been to England, I've been to some Western European countries. What I used to observe was there were these areas where people who believe in the Judeo-Christian template live. And then there were ghettos. There were the Indian ghettos, where folks like, my people, what I want to call them, they used to live. Then there were the Muslim ghettos. The Muslims would live there. And then there are the other people ghettos, or there are the African American ghettos. There are different ghettos. That is not diversity, to be very honest. Diversity would be an area where everybody lives together, and it's a genuine United Nations kind of a thing. There's a Korean on the other side of the street, then there's maybe a South Asian, then you have an African American, then you have a white guy. I'm not saying there are no such pockets in the West, but by and large, the West is very ghettoized.
People may not agree with me, but in my travels in the West, it is totally ghettoized. A lot of people say, no, America is not like that. Yes, to a large extent, America is far better than Canada and other Western European nations, or maybe even Australia and New Zealand for that matter. But I have seen ghettos in the West too. At least African American ghettos, I've seen a lot of them. When I used to go and, so I used to study in Toronto, right? So the closest American city, there were two cities that could be considered close. One was the Buffalo, New York side, and one was the Detroit, Michigan side. So you can just travel 4 or 5 hours, right? But it's a road trip. You can just travel. If you had a valid American visa as an Indian student studying in Canada, all you needed was a tourist visa. You could go there, spend the night over there or a weekend over there, and you can all come back. I saw ghettos in Detroit. I saw ghettos in Buffalo, New York. I saw ghettos all over America too. Maybe still America has done something better than the other nations. Their minorities are far more integrated into the American way of thinking. But still, I think it is very segregated. Now, having said that, let us look at it from this trope. They always say, no, we believe in harmony. But how can this be called harmony? That it has always bothered me. If this is harmony, then why do you need segregation? This is not harmony. And that's why that ad actually hit me too. When I saw that ad, if they wanted to show harmony in that Surf Excel advertisement, this is what they should have shown. The girl goes out. She goes to the kid and she's like, oh, so you're supposed to pray? He's like, yeah, I'm supposed to pray, but you know what? Why don't you put a little color on me over here? I'll go and pray. And then the girl would have said, you know what? I'll also celebrate Holi with you later on. Let's go together to your mosque. We'll pray together. And then both of us have the same amount of color. And then we'll come back. That is harmony. I don't think so. What that advertisement was promoting was really harmony. That was segregation. There was segregation because Muslims cannot accept the Hindu way. They cannot accept the Hindu colors. That's not the harmonious way. That is the way of tolerance. That is the way of ghettoization. That is the way of segregation. And that's why that advertisement was very dangerous. My complaints were philosophical and deep-rooted. My complaints were not that, Hindus are, approaching Muslims in a bad way or anything. What the Hindutva crowd was outraging about, I had nothing to do with that. My outrage was very deep philosophical. I was worried how they are portraying the Muslim community in India. Because let me tell you, growing up, when I was in school, I had Muslim students in my class. I had Hindu students in my class. I had Christian students in my class. Even I had a Parsi in my class. We would play Holi, Diwali, Eid, Christmas, everything. As kids, all you looked forward to was festivals. You know why? Because I don't know about anybody in the West, but in India, we had this thing of tuitions, so there was school and then there was school after school. So on the day of the festivals, it doesn't matter which festival it was, tuitions were off. So we would look forward to any damn festival. It was like, oh my God, I don't have to go to the damn tuition and study today. I get more playtime. So we would be just what? You go there and you pretend, okay, where is God? Where is God? God, okay, let's get the hell out of there. And that's what I was raised as. That was harmony, by the way. You celebrate everything, you party on everything, you go out on everything. That's harmony. This is not harmony. How can a 5-year-old kid come and say, you know what? I have read the Quran. According to chapter number 4, verse number this, I cannot put color before I go to pray. What nonsense is this? What are you trying to preach? That is bullshit. And this is where I want to bring in the other ship, the Indian ship. And the Indian ship is different from this Western Judeo-Christian Abrahamic ship. The Indian ship never had any preconditions, or okay, you could say you can't practice violence. That was a precondition on the Indian ship. But they let people in. And then while they are on board, the Indians would figure out. They would carve out new spaces for everyone. And once they are in their space, you're not allowed to stay there. I'm going to poke my nose in there. I'm going to come and say, hey, what do you got, man? Oh, so you got this? Let me try your thing. Hey, in the meantime, do you want to try mine? That's the Indian way. That is the dharmic way. And unfortunately, we are losing that. If you look at how what you call Hinduism today, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, all these Indian philosophies or any philosophy which has been, originated from India, they have always worked on this template. They have been on this ship where we share from each other. The Hindus were not necessarily vegetarian, but the Jains were hardcore vegetarian. What did the Buddhists and the Hindus do? They're like, it makes sense there. Okay, let me digest some of that vegetarianism. Maybe the Buddhists did not have so much of the, the imagery and the colorful nature that Hinduism has. When the Buddhists realized, these Hindus are doing something interesting. Let us absorb some of that in our imagery. And the Buddhists developed Buddhism on the basis of Hindu metaphysics beyond a certain point. And that's how we've always lived with each other. That's been the Indian way. If you look at the Guru Granth Sahib, Guru Granth Sahib is not a very old scripture, right? I mean, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is hardly a few hundred years old. 400, 500 years old. That's all Sikhism is. There is Ram in the Guru Granth Sahib. There is Krishan Ji in the Guru Granth Sahib. And that's been the Hindu way, or that's been the Indian way if people have a problem with the term Hindu. And that's what bothers me. This foreign ideology, this ideology of tolerance, this ideology of one-sided harmony, where I have to tolerate the other person. I actually believe the other person is a piece of shit. Because let me tell you, everybody in the West who says, oh, all cultures are not equal. Look at those poor white people, look at those poor Muslims. What they're trying to say is, those Muslims are not evolved enough. They're actually kind of primitive. But while they are primitive, we have to tolerate them. Because why? Because we have this huge, white guilt or whatever you want to call it. And this is the fundamental problem. When people came to India, the Indian side genuinely tried to merge with the other. When the Parsis came to India, everybody knows the famous story, right? When the Parsi went to the Hindu king and, the Hindu king said, why should I let you in? And the Parsis, they basically asked for a bowl of milk. They took a fistful of sugar, put it in the bowl of milk, and the sugar basically merged in the milk. And they'll be like, we'll merge into your society like that sugar has merged in the milk. That is exactly the Indian way. That is the Indian way. And it has always been the Indian way. And what worries me is, because this Abrahamized mindset is actually seeping slowly but surely. It has been seeping into the Hindu mind also. The Hindu is becoming Abrahamized mentally. The Hindu has started reacting to the Muslims' Abrahamism or the Christians' Abrahamism in a very similar way. They are becoming Abrahamized. And that's what bothers me. Because India's strength has been India's dharma. India's natural way of absorbing everything that comes, and we basically excrete the bad stuff or from the new culture, and we retain the good and we make it our own, and we call that also Hinduism. That is the Hindu way. That is not the Christian way. That is not the Islamic way. And when ad agencies try to promote harmony of this sort on this country, on this culture, I get scared. I really get scared, because this is the most un-Hindu thing to do. This is adharmic. I think tolerance is adharmic. I think mutual respect is the way of dharma. I think reciprocity is the way of dharma. Ahimsa is the way of dharma. This one-sided harmony that has been preached by ad agencies now in India, or anyways, it's the multiculturalism is basically the culture of the West and the culture of the world. I think it's ridiculous. It scares me. It bothers me as an Indian. It bothers me as a Cārvāka. I had recently made this comment on the Op India podcast that I think it was the 50th parliamentary celebration, 50th year of Indian Parliament, and Advani ji had made a speech at the floor of the House. And if I remember, Advani ji had said this country and this culture has always been about multiplicity of viewpoints. We have never been about either this or either that. We have always been about maybe this, maybe that, and maybe this and that. That's been the Indian way forever, for thousands of years. That's been our way. And he used the word Rishi Cārvāka. Yes, Lal Krishna Advani, who's not a Cārvāka, who's a believer. He's a devout believer. He used the word rishi for Cārvāka. And that's the Indian way. And what worries me is that we are losing that essence. We are losing that dharmic essence. And, every day getting on social media, looking at some odd incident here, some odd incident there, and these ad agencies. I have to say, these ad agencies are the most adharmic people I have come across in my life. They are as adharmic as it gets. It bothers me. It bothers me because we have always taken the a sense of pride, especially Indians. We Hindus, when we leave India, we go and settle down in the West or in Kenya or wherever. We always take a lot of pride in our acceptance of the other. Not only acceptance as in a tolerating way, we genuinely merge. So when Indians go to America, they become American while they retain their Hinduness. They become proud Americans while they are proud Hindus. Same goes for Hindus in Canada. And that's why I guess, Hindus tend to be far better migrants or immigrants, whatever word you want to use, than people of other religions. I think it has to do with the fundamental tenets of Hindu philosophy. Hindu philosophy has always been far, far ahead in terms of this basic template. So my request to all of you is that use this ship example. Every time, I know a lot of you who actually watch me and interact with me actually stay outside India. You might be Indians, or you might be, ethnically Indians, or maybe ethnically Western, but it doesn't matter. If you are a Hindu or you believe in the Hindu way, you have to ask your friends this question: which ship are you on? Are you on that binary Abrahamite ship where it's either this or that? It does not matter if you're a theist or an atheist. There is no scope. It is only tolerance. There is no mutual respect on that ship. We have this another ship. We have this ship where we will mutually respect each other. We will care for each other. We will practice our own ways. You cannot go to the temple and you can believe it's a load of rubbish, and I can go to a temple, but we will love each other. We will care for each other. We will be bound to each other by dharma. We choose to live our lives in different ways. I believe the next 50 years, the fight, as far as I'm concerned, in India for the next 50 years is going to be who fights for these values of mutual respect, reciprocity, and ahimsa, vis-a-vis the values of tolerance. Because a lot of people are selling tolerance at this day and age. Multiculturalism, I think it was in 1971, Justin Trudeau's father, what was his name? Jean-Pierre Trudeau. I think he came up with the political ideology of multiculturalism. I am anti-multiculturalism because multiculturalism, it's a very bad concept. What multiculturalism is basically you have this big cancer inside you. So what am I doing? You know what? I'm not going to do any kind of treatment or chemotherapy. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to cover it up. I'm going to cover it up. Well, it ain't going to work. It's going to come out and it's going to be even worse than what it was before. So you have to force everyone who enters a society to have mutual respect. If you do not have that, well, sorry, those people are not welcome in the society that we live in. That's what the West should be doing. That's what we should do in this country. We should demand mutual respect in India. We have to demand. And, when I had read Rajiv Malhotra's book, Being Different, I was so happy that somebody, is talking about it, because I remember reading Sitaram Goel once, and Sitaram Goel had used the word equal respect. I think it was in the 1990s, Sitaram Goel wrote this word. And way before that, obviously, Swami Vivekananda had always spoken about mutual respect. He used another word. I don't recall the word Swami Vivekananda had used, but he also spoke about this. And believe me, India has constantly tried to do this with Muslims and Christians too. And I have always maintained that we have not succeeded 100% with Islam and Christianity in India, but we are far better than every other nation when it comes to dealing with Islam. I genuinely believe this. I think Muslims in the West today are far more segregated and ghettoized than Muslims in India. I know a lot of my Hindutva viewers are not going to agree with that because they love to create a monster out of everything. But I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. I actually believe the Indic way is still somewhere inserted in the Indian Muslim too. And the Indian Muslim also wants to be Indic. And the Indian Muslim understands that maybe sometimes it is fundamentally against some tenets of Islam. But if they indulge in mental gymnastics, and if they can become dharmic and stay Muslim at the same time, let me tell you, I got no issues. This Wahhabization of Indian Islam worries me more than anything. And that's why that advertisement, that bloody ad of Surf Excel, bothered me more than anything. And I was like, let the Hindutva people argue about their thing. I'm not going to talk about that. Let us get into the root of this. Reject one-sided harmony. If anything is one-sided, it is not harmonious. It is not. That's not harmony. Harmony is from both sides. Harmony is when both the parties, party A and party B, agree on certain terms and conditions. This is not harmony, man. This is just ghettoization, segregation. This is what I think George Bush came up with this term. In first time it was used in relation to education and African Americans, where he called it the soft bigotry of low expectations. Wonderful term, by the way. And then obviously it was made famous by Majid Nawaz from UK. And I think it is a classic case of the soft bigotry of low expectations. And I say this with full responsibility. I reject one-sided harmony. And I would request each and every one of you, reject one-sided harmony. It is not harmony. It is tolerance. We cannot accept tolerance. People who live in this landmass that we call the Republic of India have to be asked, you have to have mutual respect. You have to respect the person who's staying here. And it applies equally to the Hindutva folks who demonize the Muslims, by the way. Let me tell you, I don't support that either. And I'll fight against the bigotry against the average Muslims as much as the bigotry of the Muslim against the Hindu. I have issues with the Hindu bigotry against the Muslim too. I'm not saying it's widespread in India, but I'm saying even if there's one person, I'm against that person. That's my point. This is what we need to build upon. And we have to talk about it day in and day out. It does not matter how many conversations it has to be. It could be one conversation. It has to be 1,000 conversations. So that's my whole trope. I reject one-sided harmony. One-sided harmony has to go into the dustbin of history as a very bad idea. It needs to be crushed. It needs to be destroyed. And by the way, this one-sided harmony, it applies to atheistic folks as much as it applies to theistic folks. So I, as a Cārvāka, I follow the rule of mutual respect and reciprocity too. That's why you'll never see me going around humping Bibles, licking the Quran, urinating on idols. I'm not stupid like there is a certain section in the new atheistic circle in the West. You know why they are the way they are? Because they also follow the one-sided harmony. That's the problem. Because they are a reaction to the Abrahamic template. And when you react to an Abrahamic template, all you have is Abrahamism. And that's why I've written an article on Op India. If you guys have not read it, I would urge you guys to read it. If you look at the structure of social justice warriors, look at how they have become when they become extreme. What is the extremist social justice warrior? The extreme social justice warrior practices blasphemy and apostasy just like the Christian and the Islamic person does. You can't break their tenets. They will destroy your career. They'll destroy your life. They'll call you names. They'll call you this. They'll call you that. They'll basically destroy everything you believe. They'll try to harm you monetarily, etc., etc. They are very binary in their thinking. It's either this or that. They cannot accept anything else. Which way is that? Abrahamism. It's a classical Abrahamic template. And most social justice warriors, by the way, usually are atheistic folks. So I know that. They're basically atheists. So as usual, I want to cut this monologue to 30 minutes. I just checked my time. I've been speaking non-stop for 30 minutes. So I'm going to have some water now. And then I'm going to start reading your comments because I have not read a single comment. So I was just, writing off on the top of my head. So I'm going to go to the top now. Let's see what you guys have to say. All right. First question. Do you support Hindu Rashtra? To Sandeep Haldar, what do you mean by Hindu Rashtra? Do you mean to say that you're going to change the constitution of India? You're going to insert a weird system where you are going to live by the Dharmashastras, which are the Manusmriti, Parshahara Smriti, Narada Smriti, the Smriti of the Medatithi.
etc., etc., then I don't support that Hindu Rashtra. But by Hindu Rashtra, if you believe a loosely dharmic Rashtra which believes in mutual respect, reciprocity, and ahimsa, and we are a democratic country which has a constitution which keeps on updating itself all the time, then I'd say, I think India is a Hindu Rashtra in that sense. So we don't need a Hindu Rashtra. I believe we need to be democratic, secular, and liberal. There's nothing wrong with those systems. And on top of that, this is the base layer. And to top all of it, we need to be dharmic. So that's my answer. So I reject the Hindu Rashtra, which is the Smriti-based Rashtra. But if your Hindu Rashtra is what I'm talking about, I got no issues, man. Okay, Uday. Hey, Uday, how are you doing? On a different note, did you hear about the 20 plus Nigerian Christians being burned to death by Islamists last week? There was barely a whimper about it in the media or social media. Actually, I did hear about it on social media. So I don't know how you're saying you did not hear about it. I don't know. I guess we follow the different set of people. Why does the left think they are good by default? Because they have not been challenged. I think what has happened is, I think Papa CJ raised a very nice point in my podcast with him. He said what has happened is the left has become very insulated. They don't talk outside to the outside world. They have basically, what has happened is the left captured the academia, and then academia usually produces the art students, and the arts usually influences the culture, and then they just became very incestuous. They just kept living amongst each other in that sense. And when you live amongst each other, you basically meet people who agree with you on almost everything all the time. So I think in that sense they never got used to the idea of people pushing back at them, and that's why they assume because everybody is agreeing with them, they have to be right, and if you're right, then who cares? So that's about it. Somebody says, even in India, we have Muslim and Hindu areas. I agree. I'm not denying we don't have only Muslim and only Hindu areas in India. But I think in India, considering the population of Muslims we have, I don't know, the handle is believer of light. I think we are still a very harmonious society. Think about it sometimes. The amount of Muslims we have in India, how many skirmishes do we have? Just look at the percentage in terms of the population. You'll be surprised. Look at France. It's just reached 10%. See how the shit has hit the roof over there. They're fighting with each other like cats and dogs. It's not happening in India. Indian Muslims are far more docile in that sense. Somebody said, at least we all look alike. That's funny. The West is better than India in tackling Islam. I don't agree. I actually don't agree. They don't even have enough Muslims. So what are you basing your judgment on? Let the Muslim population become 10% in the overall Western world. It's only 10% in France. In America, it's less than 2%. In Canada, it's also the same. In England, it's also the same. They've actually not dealt with Islam. They've just dealt with pockets of Muslims. So I don't agree with you. We want gender fluidity ghettos. I don't agree. Okay, David Gomes, completely agree. Where Indians always congregate with their own kind no matter what. However, Indians are themselves to be blamed. They self-ghettoize. I don't agree, David. I don't think so. Indians self-ghettoize. I think it's also got to do a lot with how does the other side make you feel when you travel into another country. It is very natural. Cultural homophily is a fact that, birds of this feather flock together. So if you're an Indian, you go outside in a country, you're naturally going to be attracted to somebody of your own type. But I think Indians are far more merged into the American culture, at least whatever I have experience of living in North America. I think Indians were far less ghettoized than every other community over there in that sense. Hindus have a misconception that all religions are same. They have no idea about Islam, Christianity, etc., etc. Yeah, well, it's okay. Mubin Ahmed, Surf Excel doesn't care about left wing, right wing, Hindu Muslim harmony. All they want is to sell more Surf Excel. Well, if all they want is to sell more Surf Excel, they've done a pretty shitty job. That's all I would say. I don't agree that all they want to sell is more Surf Excel. Okay, Mubin, give me this answer then. It's actually a very bad argument. Gillette, did you see the new Gillette ad about toxic masculinity? 98% of Gillette customers are men. And they basically made an ad saying, yeah, you men suck. Really? They want to sell more shades? You don't realize how much this mindset, this
this one-sided harmony, this tolerance, this multicultural mindset has seeped into the average person in these fields, in these arts and humanities fields. It will reflect in their creativity. For goodness sake, man, what are you talking about? It's going to reflect in your creative output, the way you think. Please don't tell me that. You're not an automaton. You think one way and then you go into your office and you change as a person. No, their job is to be creative, create ads. Their advertisement is actually a reflection of how they think. You need to make viral video podcasts, don't get much audience. I don't care, man. I don't care about the audience. I'm here to talk about serious ideas. I have never bothered about this. I don't do this to make make anyone happy or impress someone. If I have a thought, I'm going to go out there and put it. And I'm a busy man. I have a full-time job. I have to read, I have to study, I have to do a lot of things. So I'm happy in what I'm doing. I have never even bothered about how many people. You'll be shocked. I don't read my YouTube comments. I don't read most of my Twitter mentions. I don't read my Facebook comments unless there are swear words or bigotry in it. That I remove and delete. Otherwise, I don't care. I just believe in putting my thoughts out there. And if somebody likes it, it's fine. If somebody doesn't like it, it's okay. I really am thick-skinned that way. I don't care. You have Muslim members in your family too. So what? Is that a crime, man? Cārvāka, Siddharth Datta. Recently, there was a guest on Rubin Report who was explaining mutual respect versus tolerance to the American audience. Yeah, I did see that. That was interesting. But you have forgotten the first guest ever on the Rubin Report to talk about mutual respect versus tolerance was yours truly. Please, थोड़ा पीछे जाके भी देख लो. मैं भी था Rubin Report पे. I love the tolerance point. Left always talks about it without even understanding it. Thanks. Brother makes a good point. So Bonnie also agrees with me. Friends and I celebrated everything for food, sweets, and crackers. Exactly, man. Who the hell does not like festivals? I love festivals. They're such idiots. Yeah, like I've said it many times. I go to the Hare Krishna Aarti. It's awesome. Why won't you go there? You get amazing food. The prasad is amazing. They're just idiots, man. Those who don't like it. What's this obsession of stupid Hindus who are begging Muslims to play their festivals? Muslims have nothing to do with their festivals. Nobody's begging them. But if you want to live a harmonious life, it is always nice if everybody participates in their activities. Think about it like this. You're living in a house. You have mom, dad. Let's say you have a joint family system. Imagine a joint family. How unhealthy will it be? Everybody, mom's in one room, dad's in one room, the bacha is in one room. Everybody's doing their own thing. Nobody interacts. So the bacha has his birthday. He brings out his own cake, cuts his own cake, sings happy birthday to me, feeds himself the cake. Nobody's there. Now expand that scenario to the larger society. That's what happens. So whatever you are, bhin, kaka, you have to think larger. Who is the new guest? There is no guest today. New generations of Parsis don't like India or Hindus. Oh, come on, man. That's such an general statement. Okay, Kavita, show me the survey which has basically studied the mind of the Parsis. And they dislike Hindus and India. Please, I really want to see the survey. See, this is what bothers me. Blatant generalization. How do you make such absolute statements? सारे पारसी मिल गए, वैसे ज्यादा ढूंढने भी नहीं पड़ेंगे. कितने 1 लाख 1.5 लाख पारसी होंगे. जाके बात कर लो सबसे. क्या उन सबको इंडिया से नफरत है? उनको सबको हिंदुओं से नफरत है. जाके बात कर लो उनसे. The Indian way is the only way towards peace and harmony. I agree. What is the Indian way? Aren't Musalmans Indians, Cārvāka ji? I agree. I've been saying that all the time in my life. Muslims are also Indians. Hindus love sharing Dalai Lama quotes to show progressivism, but not Shri Shri. Who said people don't share Shri Shri quotes? My freaking Facebook timeline is full of Shri Shri quotes, Dalai Lama quotes, all kinds of quotes. I just think people on social media just like to share quotes. They just like they pick their Baba they like and then they share that Baba's quotes.
Do you think we are reading too much into this ad? I mean, it is a silly ad. Government of India used to do all those national integration shows on DD. I'm not reading too much into this ad, and that's why I have spent 30 minutes explaining what I really meant by that ad. Look, we have to challenge certain concepts, and this is my challenge to that concept. That concept is based on some a priori assumptions. Those assumptions are flawed by itself. We need to challenge those assumptions. I don't care about that ad. Who cares? Let people buy Surf Excel. It's a bad product. I think all detergents are bad. They're mostly highly alkaline. I'm a chemical manufacturer. I can tell you they're not good for you. Your hands, it affects your hands. Do this thing. Next time you have a Surf Excel or an Ariel in your house, pH check karna. It'll be highly alkaline. There is a queue of Hindus on Muslim dargahs. How many Muslims go to temples to worship? One-sided harmony. Islamic texts and Muslims call Hindu worship of idols is abusive. Yeah, it's partially true. I agree with S. Kumar there. And that's what I'm talking about. Indian Islam needs to change. That's what I'm saying. Indian Islam, not forcibly, but it needs to be challenged all the time. And I think there are many sects in Indian Islam that are changing. It's just that we choose to ignore them, and we always look at the crazy asshole on the street of shouting Allahu Akbar. That's our problem, actually. That's our negativity bias. That's the negativity bias hacking our brain. There are enough people who are trying to do that in the Muslim society too. Kavita, what's the solution? The heat across the world is increasing. Kavita, I actually disagree with you. The heat across the world is not increasing, it's decreasing. Read Steven Pinker's book, The Better Angels of Our Nature. And this is another thing I want to address. Everybody keeps saying, oh, the world is collapsing. We are all going to die. Nothing's happening. The world is becoming peaceful day by day. I say this in the aftermath of the New Zealand attack. Still, the world is more peaceful. If somebody asks me, yo, when would you want to live? In the 1700s, 1600s, or in 2019? 100 out of 100 times I'll pick 2019, not the 1600s, 1700s. Whether it's India, whether it's America, whether it's Islamic areas, anywhere in the world, I'd pick today, 2019, over any time. This is the best time to live. Best time. In terms of medicine, in terms of every material parameter, we are better off than our ancestors. I don't know why you guys always fearmonger. I don't know why. Okay, let's go down now. Muslims have a problem with assimilation. Even Christians adopt a Hindu name in India. Muslims take all Arab names. Ishan has a very valid point, because I think in Muslims there is a wannabe Arabization. It is a problem. I agree with you. Terms like Abrahamite way and Victorian morality to stop Hindus from resisting degeneracy. I'm not going to comment on that. David Gomes says pluralism, not multiculturalism. I agree. It's all about pluralism, my man. As a result of mutual acceptance, we lost Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, half of Kashmir, Tibet, Sri Lanka. I can go on, but I think I've made my point clear. No, we did not lose all of them because of mutual respect. We lost them maybe because we had bad military strategy on some occasions. We were not probably as well equipped in terms of arms and ammunition in many occasions. Maybe, you can give credit to the other side that they were militarily superior sometimes. And I don't think so the Muslims really won, because if you look at the extreme northern areas, they were full of those pacifists. The Jains and the Buddhists were over there. So the Hindus resisted a lot in that sense, because Jainism, the biggest problem with Jainism is you just can't fight, because they are like extremists when it comes to, ahimsa. Obviously, the Hindu ahimsa is not the Jain ahimsa. So we can. There are multiple reasons, to say, this is what I don't get, Kaustuv. How can you pinpoint one reason and extrapolate that the whole thing was only because of that one reason? It's actually very irrational. It is never one reason. It is neither the reason I have mentioned. It's a multiplicity of reasons. So we can do these analysis, but the reality is, just because somebody believes in murdering people, we also become a murderer, has never been a solution in my view. Our values will save the world, but the world needs India, which is Hindu philosophy. I think the world needs to be dharmic, and dharma and dharmic philosophies come from India. I think the West has a lot of good things to offer too. I don't hate the West. I believe today the West is far, far ahead of us in almost every parameter. So I don't agree with this for thing, right? Like, we are the best, India is the best. No, if India is the best, why do so many Indians want to run away and live in the West? ये नहीं बोलना कि पैसा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है और सिर्फ पैसे के लिए जाते हैं लोग, quality of life उधर better है. So the West is today by far the best. But yes, Western philosophy and Western templates at which those societies are built, I think are flawed, and I think they could learn a lot from the East. Kushal, mutual respect may not be Islamic way, but I guess many Muslims still practice that. Ishan, that's the thing. Why do we want to why do we want Islam to be stuck in 7th century Arabia? Do we want Hinduism to be stuck in the Manusmriti times? If Hinduism is allowed to reject the Manusmriti or parts of the Manusmriti or the whole Manusmriti, whatever floats your boat, and come to the 21st century where Hindus say we have a new Smriti, which is the Constitution of India, why can't Muslims be given that option? This is the one thing where the neo-atheists and the non-Muslim traditionalists are all on one boat, and even the Muslim traditionalists, by the way. So the Muslim conservatives, the non-Muslim conservatives, and the neo-atheists, all three of them want Islam to be stuck in the 7th century. They don't want Islam to reform, because if Islam reforms or Islam changes and Muslims indulge in mental gymnastics and change the structure of Islam from top to bottom, it somehow doesn't work for them. I wonder why. It is as if मेरे को तो मरना है यार, कुछ भी हो जाए, या ये या वो, ऐसे क्यों करते हो यार? उनको भी चांस दो चेंज करने का. So Shubham says, I have a female Muslim friend. She's a medical student. She puts Islamic quotes on WhatsApp, one of which was killing in the name of Allah will let you heaven. How stupid. Well, that's what. She's stupid. Take screenshots. That's all I can say. Okay. If mutual respect also applies equally to the atheist folks, Uday, I think I had answered that. Obviously, it applies to each and every person. Most Hindus don't feel pride to be associated with most democratic Sanatan Dharma, which does not impose any holy book prophet. I don't agree with it. I think Hindus are very happy about Hinduism. Who told you Hindus are not proud to be Hindus? Hindus are not fanatical. That's the whole point, right? If you are not fanatical, you're not going to be going around going like a gorilla. I'm a Hindu. That's not our way. We just live silently. The moment we lose that, we become like the other side, where we shout Allahu Akbar, boom, ud gaye. We don't want to be that, right? How do you show your pride? You show your pride in your ethnic way. That's our way of showing our pride, being nice. That's why I like Kushal. He admits some Hindus have bigotry towards Indian Muslims. A lot of Hindus have bigotry towards Hindu Muslims in terms of numbers. The percentages might be small, but there is bigotry. I agree. Any sane person would agree with that. Atheists need to understand that, okay, the problem with this damn thing, okay. All right, I am sorry. I need to go up and up and up again. Where did David's message go? All right, atheists need to understand that not everyone will become atheist and respect others. That's what I do. I think atheists do get it, but they just don't want to give up when it comes to rubbing it. Look, man, you got to understand. To be, I think at times I want to defend the neo-atheists, especially atheists from the Islamic backgrounds. Their thing is they've been abused so much by the Abrahamics. Now they've come to this moment where they're like, "Fuck you," and they're doing what they did to them. With the Hindu atheists, it's usually not like that. The Hindu atheist is like, you don't do anything to me, I don't do anything to you. You live in your corner, I live in my corner. We'll celebrate the Hindu festivals together. It's funny, right? In most Hindu atheists celebrate Hindu festivals. Most of them. I've rarely met a Hindu atheist who's like, that's not my thing. It's a Hindu festival. I will not celebrate it. It's nothing of that sort happens with them. I know so many Hindu atheists, Nirishwarvadis, who go to celebrate all that, I don't know one Nirishwarvadi who will not sit in their houses Diwali Puja. Not one. And I have met many, by the way. Do you think India needs to introduce a law to control populations of all communities? It seems at the rate Muslims are reproducing, they will take over within the next 50 years. You can't have laws, man. Then it's not a democracy, right? But you'll be surprised. Let the new population census come out. You guys are in for a pleasant surprise. Birth rates, even within Muslims, have dropped significantly in India. I don't have the official data because the government has not officially released it. You guys will be happy. There is a long way to go, but you guys will be happy. Just educate people, keep freedom of speech as negotiable, keep pushing ideas. I believe every human being can be convinced. Most will be convinced, whether they're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, it does not matter. They'll be convinced. So I don't have such a pessimistic view of this world. David, what do you think Indians abroad who segregate amongst themselves, such as Punjabis are only Punjabis, Bengalis are only with Bengalis, and Gujaratis are only with Gujaratis? They're idiots, man. You know what? I think at times what happens is that in Indian culture, you do have this thing because the food is a problem at times. Yeah, I don't know if you get it. The Gujarati food, even within Gujarat, if you're a Surti, you have different kind of food. If you're a Kathiawadi Gujarati, you have different kind of food. And then when you go into I'll tell you my problem when I went to Canada, my first 6 months, oh my god, it was so terrible because I was not used to the taste of the chicken over there, right? I was like, whenever I used to eat that chicken, I was like, oh my god, what the hell have I had? It's like rubber. We are used to very chicken over there was like hard as a rock. So I was like, my mouth is not used to chewing so much. So these are small problems, and eventually, I think the first generations of Indians that go, especially Indians from India, they'll be like, okay, I'll spend time. But man, my wife's a Canadian Indian. She had Gujarati friends. I mean, I'm a Punjabi, right? My closest friend in Canada, I spoke to him today. We still stay in touch. He's a Patel, man. I don't give a shit. I believe they talk to each other. I mean, look at the colleges, right? You have the Hindu Students Association. Do you have Gujarati Students Association where they do their thing, Punjabi students? It's a Hindu Student Association or an Indian Students Association. All languages, they all come together. I've seen Gujaratis going on Vaisakhi parties. I've seen Punjabis going on Dandiya night. In my university, I used to study in York University, Canada. We used to go on every night, man. So I think it's a little blown up. Maybe, the parents, they are more segregated in that sense. But the kids, man, they don't give a fuck. They go everywhere. Man, who doesn't want to go to Dandiya? You get good Gujarati food. Then you go to the Punjabi festival, you get Punjabi food. Then you go to the Onam festival, you get Malayali food. That's the beauty of India, man. Variety of cuisines, variety of languages, variety of music. It's amazing. India is beautiful. That's what I love about India. Siddharth, watch Arthur Brooks on Ben Shapiro. I watched it. I did actually. I did see Arthur Brooks. Shittage. Kushal, the left forms a binary and doesn't recognize shades of gray. They are Abrahamic political system. Well, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. I totally agree with you. They are the way they are. You can't change that. Atheists need to hear Osho on YouTube. I don't believe in believing and follow. I've actually read a lot of Osho, and my friend and I, we had this thing. I'll tell you, we used to go for these long drives for like an hour. We would just take out our car at 11:30 in the night because if you live in India and Mumbai, traffic only dies down after 11 o'clock in the night, and we would go for this 1 hour drive and we would play this Osho tape. We actually used to do that. I like a lot of things Osho said. Point, it's all gobbledygook for me, but I really like listening to Osho. So I kind of enjoy Hindu gurus. I listen to them. I don't agree with them. I love Swami Nityananda the most, as you guys know that. Sanjeet Singh Vashisht, on politics, what do you think about Mr. Modi's prospects? I think NDA is going to get around See, if you had asked me 2 months ago, I would have said NDA gets around 240 to 250, with BJP being stuck around 200. I think post the Pulwama incident and the current champion Chokidar and all that, I think it's hit a chord. I think NDA will get around 280. I think I could be totally wrong, and I'm okay with that. And BJP will be around 230, 240. Some of my friends in the BJP, they think BJP itself is going to be like 280, 290. I don't think so. I think BJP will be 230, 240. Do you think the definition of secularism in India is different from the rest of the world? Absolutely. India does not practice secularism. India practices
Actually, India practices the extreme version of what the West is trying to practice. So I always tell my friends in the West, you guys were okay a few years ago. Now you guys are going bonkers. And when you go bonkers, this is what you get, the Indian version. Ishan Sharma, outrage marketing is a thing now. Gillette did it. Surf Excel has got famous through this. Yeah, okay. Do you buy this narrative? Criticism of Islam is spreading hate, is violence against Muslims? No, I don't buy that narrative at all, Nimish. That's a load of bollocks. Islam is a set of ideas. If somebody says all Muslims are bad or all members of this community are ABC, then I would say that. But if you're saying Islam or Hinduism, then that's somebody says Hinduism is bad. What do you mean all Hindus are bad? It's a weak argument. I don't agree with that. I don't believe in divinity, but I still celebrate Christmas, Holi, Diwali, and all other festivals. Why? Because why? David, my man, you should celebrate all festivals. How about some reformations in Islam? I think every is capable of reform, Prakash. When I lived in Hyderabad, my Hindu parents used to take me to the Islamic dargah called Pahadi Sharif to pray. Uday, that's been the Hindu way, man. That's always been the Hindu way. What we have to make sure is that it is reciprocated from the Muslim side. We cannot become like them in dealing with them. We have to make them like us. Because even if we become like them, it creates ghettos and segregations, and then accepted their template. We cannot accept their template. My biggest problem is we accept their template. We have to accept the plural template, not the binary template. Force them through love and argumentation, not violence. Force them to accept our way. They have to become plural. They have to be de-Abrahamized. That's the way. My parents went to pray to Ajmer Sharif. Actually, I've been to Ajmer Sharif too, once in my childhood. Not necessarily. My Muslim friend's father brings me prasads from Tirupati when he visits the hostel. See, nice. On the live chat itself, you've seen. Nimish, are we getting really crazy on Twitter day by day? I mean, my first reaction to that ad was positive. Only after going on Twitter made me lose my shit. Not really. Nimish, if you remember, ये ad का outrage तो बहुत बाद में हुई थी. But if you remember, मैंने 3 दिन पहले quote tweet किया था. ये क्या टट्टी ad है? I saw the ad on TV and then I saw it on Twitter. When the moment I saw that ad, I was like, they are peddling a very dangerous agenda. And see, it is not about what happens now. किसी को कुछ पड़ी नहीं यार, लोग तो अपना काम करेंगे, आगे बढ़ जाएंगे. मगर ये आइडिया को अगर आपने चैलेंज नहीं किया, तो ये आइडिया फैलता है. We have to challenge it when somebody proposes it at the first stage. If you challenge it at the first stage, now we don't let it go ahead. That's what my view is. And people can disagree with me. It's okay. It's a free country, man. Do you think the left has an upper hand with the attack in New Zealand? Will it be difficult to counter them? No, I don't think so. I think you can still criticize Islam and you can still do those things. I mean, just wait for a few days. There'll be an Islamic attack and the left will be on the back foot again. I'm not hoping for it, but I'm saying that's just the way the world is. It's not jihad is not going to stop. So we'll be back to square one. Okay, let's see. Let's go a little down. Do you support Pakistan balkanization and demilitarization? That's a tough one. You know what, Harshit? I really used to be like, Pakistan should be balkanized by India. I have kind of changed my view now. I don't give a shit. I don't care what happens. I really don't give a shit. I think India has enough problems of its own. India needs to do everything to protect itself from a hostile state like Pakistan or China. Beyond that, I really don't give a shit what happens to Pakistan anymore. Beyond a point, we need to bother about our own shit. I think Pakistan and their existence is about being, always needling India. India cannot be like always needling Pakistan. India has to be, we become so big that Pakistan is like small municipal corporation in the side. Who cares? That's my way. I think it could be wrong, but that's how I look at it. And also, you have a limited mind space. Foreign policy and all these things are really not my thing. I'm more into philosophizing and all those things. That makes me happy. So I really don't have a very nuanced view on that. Siddharth, the only people who read Manusmriti are the Indian left liberal. No Hindu reads Manu. I want to take this question a little bit seriously. Siddharth, problem क्या मैं आपको बताता हूँ. We may not read the Manusmriti, I agree, because let us do this survey. I mean, a lot of you who read this are Hindus, right? कौन से घर में मनुस्मृति देखी है? Which tell me one household where you saw actually a Manusmriti, somebody getting up and reading, okay, Manusmriti, chapter number 2. Oh, we should do this. तुम इधर आओ. So obviously, I buy your argument. It is only read by the communists, but there are certain societal habits that replicate the Smriti texts, like Jativad. Those things, even if we don't read them, don't go away so easily. So while we have come a long way, we need to go and reject them. Can Hindus not come up with a modern Dharma Shastra instead of old lands? But Harshit, isn't the constitution a modern Dharma Shastra? Why is it such a problem? अगर आपको उसको constitution नहीं बोलना है, so you call it the modern Indian Dharma Shastra. We have amended our constitution more than 100 times. We will go on amending it. That's just the Indian way. Parliament amend करता जाएगा. That is our Dharma Shastra. So why can't we call the constitution the Dharma Shastra? Why do we have to do this whole thing of burning the constitution, installing a Hindu Rashtra, writing something new? इतना काम क्यों करना चाहते हो जो shortcut में होता है? Call Sanjeev Newar. Who's Sanjeev Newar? I know someone called Sanjeev Nayyar. I don't know who Sanjeev Newar is. If you guys know it, please, you have my email ID on the podcast link. Just send me some of his work. I will check it out. I don't know any Sanjeev Newar, to be very honest. Love the word. One-sided harmony is harmony. So true. Best comment. David Gomes. Do you think TikTok is saving grace for India? Yes, sir. I only follow one person on TikTok. That is the great Diya Nag. Everybody should only follow her. What a lady. क्या उसको किसने काटा है उसको बचपन में पता नहीं. She's gone bonkers. I love it. How do you establish dharma? A society needs discipline and sense of duty. What is your opinion about this? Discipline or dialogue? Duty or freedom? Again, that question is so binary. Why do you need discipline or dialogue? Why don't you need discipline and dialogue? Why don't you need duty and freedom? Your question itself is adharmic, because what did you do there, Kaustubh? You took the binary template and you presented it either this or that. Think about it. It should have been discipline and dialogue, duty and freedom. Think about it. Within one generation, Kerala will become Muslim majority. Game over. You can go and stay there, man. You will save all of Kerala. Don't worry. We have you. We don't need to worry. When is Dave Rubin calling you to the Rubin Report, or when is he coming to the Cārvāka podcast? Well, here's the thing. Dave and I had a chat a long time ago. Whenever he comes to India, he'll come on the Cārvāka podcast. Beyond that, I have no interaction with Dave. I hardly chat with him anymore. I'm busy. He's busy. He's a big man. I am a big man in India. Whatever. It was funny when Rajiv Malhotra came out in support of Swami Nityanand. It was not funny. I think it was disappointing, to be very honest. Charan says we are a decentralized culture. I agree. Jitu Khatri, I just came to say hi, like your show. Thanks a lot, Jitu. So nice of you. So Uday, I think, where did the question go? I think India has a pluralistic society, but a secularist constitution, and a hyper-secular leftist media has no concept of pluralism. I agree with you. I think even secularism, look, if we have to govern ourselves, this is my view, because India is so plural, I think the state in that sense has to be, irreligious, or if you don't want to be irreligious, it should not be tied to one particular pantha. So in that way, the state has to be secular in that sense. We have no choice. The state has to be secular. But then I liked Rajiv Malhotra when he said instead of nirpekshta, we could practice sapekshta in India. it made sense to me partially. We would have to refine his Sapekshta, because his Sapekshta has no space for the Nastic, which I object to. If Sapekshta means even space for the Nastic, then I believe in Sapeksha secularism, not Nirpeksh secularism. Nimish, how much money do you get to promote Diya Nag? I don't get any money, man. She's so talented. How much money do you want to promote her? Maybe you should message her. Diya Nag, mujhe paise do. Where does Indic dharmic culture fit in the clash of civilizations? I think the Indic dharmic culture is that person in the room who's just sitting there watching two idiots fight. Ye log jhagda kyun kar rahe hain? Literally, that's my opinion. The Hindu in the room is looking at the Christian and the Muslim fighting over supremacy and thinking, what is wrong with these people? I genuinely believe that's what's happening. This is my view. You guys actually comment on this. What do you think? I think the Hindu is the spectator in the MMA match. There are two people inside the cage trying to beat the shit out of each other, and the Hindu is like, fight to achhi hai. That's what the Hindu is, in my view. Should we translate rationality and science in books into Urdu and spread? Sandeep, you will be surprised. The God Delusion was translated into Arabic. Just check the number of copies that have been downloaded in the Arab world unofficially, chup ke, of the God Delusion. You will get the shock of your life. Actually, atheism is spreading like wildfire in the Arab world. It's just that because they kill atheists, so they're all quiet. The day they liberalize slowly, you'll be shocked. A huge chunk of the population would already be atheistic. What do you think about Tulsi Gabbard's non-interventionist policy, and given her close connection with Modi and RSS, will it be better for India if she wins? Yeah, I really don't know her policies. I've not studied her voting pattern. I have not really followed Tulsi Gabbard. All I know is every Hindu in India just likes Tulsi Gabbard because she's a Hindu. I have no view on Tulsi Gabbard, and I rather stay agnostic to this whole issue of Tulsi Gabbard. See, unlike a lot of those people who seems to, internet pe everybody has an opinion on everything. I will be a very honest person. I'll tell you, I don't have an opinion on Tulsi Gabbard. I just know she's a Gaudiya Vaishnavite. That means she must be ISKCON. And I hope she does not believe in the ISKCON version that evolution is not true. That's all I can say. So I have no opinion. If she is the president of the United States of America, I don't know. She's a Democrat. So usually Democrats are not really pro-India. So I don't know how it will be good for India. I honestly don't know. Sanjeev Navar doing the biggest ground level work. Yari, kaun hai Sanjeev Navar? Can you call Annie Cyrus on your podcast? I don't know who Annie Cyrus is. Again, please. So if you can basically educate me about who Annie Cyrus is. Sanjeev Navar is a Arya Samaji guy. पता नहीं यार, मैंने नहीं सुना. मैं ज़्यादा आर्य समाजियों को वैसे भी नहीं सुनता. Why did you not counter Harris religion-based country? ये question ही नहीं मुझे कुछ समझ पड़ा. What does the title of this video mean? तो यार अभी question पूछ रहे हो यार, पहले का 30 मिनट देख लेना monologue. हिंडोल का ग्रिन पॉडकास्ट सुना है? No, I have not heard Hindol's podcast. Please share the link. Trying to get Mufassil Islam to the show? No, what I'm trying to get is Hassan Ridwan, who is Mimsy Marwa's father. I think he's basically the godfather of the entire ex-Muslim movement. I really like that guy. He's a very balanced guy. And he has this term called the agnostic Muslim, which basically has been hidden in this entire ex-Muslim phenomena. I want him to talk about the agnostic Muslim. I'm really keen on understanding what he has to offer. I have a Muslim friend who's very educated and praises Mughal invaders in spite of showing how ruthless they were. What's with Muslim making heroes of invaders just because they're Muslims? Because they have bought into this left-wing drama, man. They think if they accept the Muslims were bad, they first assume the Muslims, the Arabs were their ancestors. The Turks, the Arabs and all the Mughals were their ancestors. उनको पहले तो डीएनए टेस्ट बताओ उनका. So show them their DNA analysis. उनको बोलो झंडू तू मेरे जैसा है. Second, once they de-Arabize their brain, because they are wannabe Arabs. So think what they are. then they'll be like, hi, isne to itna ganda kaam kiya tha. Then they'll automatically remove them. But then if they remove or disown those Mughals, right, what happens is then they feel like, will the Hindus hate me today? I think the Hindus need to go 2 steps ahead and tell the Muslims, the Mughals were bad. Doesn't mean we dislike you, brother. We like you. You are my brother. We do that, they will also help. This is my answer. Or kuch hai nahi. What do you think? What do you think? Do we neutralize NDTV and Barkha? Bhai, Barkha is not on NDTV. And NDTV ko kyun band karna chahte ho? Nobody watches it anyway. It will be shut down anyways. Okay. Agnivi tries to spread the message of Vedas, criticizes Islam, does Gharbakshi. They have a YouTube channel. You will like it. I've not really been a fan of Agniveer. I got nothing against them, but I think this hardcore Arya Samaj thing is not my cup of tea. I have nothing against them. They can do their thing, but I like to avoid it. Amog, in the room where Christians and Muslims are fighting and Hindus are watching, how do atheists fit in? Atheists are in the bar partying, man. What the fuck have we got to do with them fighting? That's my answer. What are some podcasts that you listen to? I listen to Vidu Vids, Sam Harris, Dave Rubin, Joe Rogan Experience. I like this guy. I don't agree with a lot of their views. The Brown Pundits podcast, the Browncast, I like them. Just for an outside perspective. Then for the American Democratic perspective, I sometimes listen to Pod Save America. For the conservative perspective, sometimes I listen to Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, although I'm not a fan of Steven Crowder, but I listen to him. I try to understand what they're trying to say. I listen to the News Laundry podcast for Indian politics. Then sometimes I listen to Harris. I listen to Sham Sharma. I like his podcast a lot. And I listen to the Science Salon of Michael Shermer. Then which one is there? Then I listen to MMA podcast. I don't know if that qualifies. I listen to Ariel Helwani's MMA show and the MMA Hour of Luke Thomas. Those are the podcasts I listen to. Kushal, how can a normal Hindu love the Muslim when they glorify the genocidal maniacs of their shared ancestors? How do you love somebody who names their kid as Semur? Thanks. How? Okay, tell me this, Kshitij. You must be having Hindus in your family that also think the Mughals were nice. Do you hate them? समझ लो हाइपोथेटिकल सिनेरियो, तुम्हारे चाचे के पास भी यही मिसकंसेप्शन थी, क्या करोगे? चाचे से नफरत करोगे? Do you hate people for one single point? I'm sure you're better than that. I know you're better than that. Just think about it. Everybody compartmentalizes. Nimish, please call Aarti Agarwal on your podcast. Nimish, go to hell. Somebody said Arya Samajis have a big superiority complex. I don't want to make any comment. Call some African pagans. Please introduce me to some. In fact, not only African pagans, can you introduce me to some nice Sri Lankan podcasters or Sri Lankan thinkers? I really want to talk to them. Really, really. If you guys could do that, I would really appreciate it. Some interesting Sri Lankan folks. I want to get them too. Why do you get disappointed with Rajiv just because he endorsed the Hindu guru called Nityanand? No. I'm not disappointed with Rajiv ji because of that at all. I am disappointed with Rajiv ji because being different was brilliant. Then came Indra's Net and he created these do's and don'ts where skepticism, atheism, agnosticism were completely out of the window. And then he ruined the word Cārvāka by calling Sheldon Pollock Cārvāka 2.0. My grouse is not he sat with Nityanand. That could be added in the bloopers section. My grouse is philosophical. That's my grouse. I still like him. Rajiv Malhotra is a great intellectual. अगर बॉम्बे आए मैं उनको मिलूंगा, प्यार से बात करूंगा, नमस्ते बोलूंगा, पैर छूंगा. मगर मैं भी इंटेलेक्चुअली उनको सपोर्ट नहीं करता हूं और मैं उनका काम प्रमोट नहीं करता हूं. मगर नहीं करता हूं उसके बाद भी मैंने उनकी बीइंग डिफरेंट बुक कितने लोगों को रिकमेंड की होगी इस पॉडकास्ट पे भी.
Annie Cyrus is an Iranian refugee to the US. She's an ex-Muslim and escaped abuse by her husband and father. She has a Facebook page too. All right, Sonu, thanks a lot. I'll check it out. I'll try to get her on the podcast. Can you please call Advocate Jesai Deepak again? Oh, Sai is just one call away, man. I just call him and I bully him to coming on my podcast. So I'll get it done. You should get Alex Jones on your podcast. Oh, man, that would be awesome. I would love to have Alex Jones. Intergalactic child molesters. I watched all 5 hours of the Joe Rogan Experience of Alex Jones when I was in Dubai, and I was laughing all the time. That was the best podcast on planet Earth. Amazing. Who, according to you, is the best performing cabinet minister in the Modi government? Oh, man. That's a tough one. Again, I'm biased, but I would say Nitin Gadkari. I like Gadkari sir. Steven Crowder is a joke, I agree. But sometimes he's funny too. I actually like it too. But yeah, I don't agree with him. Even I watch Brown Pandit podcast, Raziv and Omar Ali. Very nice podcast. You guys should check it out. Why is my channel not growing as fast as other atheistic channels? It could be multiple reasons. It could be I use the long form. I don't cut my videos short. B, it could be I don't outrage enough. I have a policy against outrage, so I'll not outrage. C could be, I think at the tech level, you're supposed to use certain keywords, etc., etc. Fourth, somebody told me, Kushal, you choose too many wide range of subjects. So what happens is you don't get a type of audience. But that's my whole thing. I don't want a particular audience. I want a wide range of subjects. And it could be and it could also be that I suck. Could be that too. So, but I don't know why people are so concerned about why my podcast does not have a lot of viewers. It's slowly growing, man. Who cares? Long form, India is not ready for a long form. I'm sure in the next 5 years, a lot of Indians will be. If you look at the numbers of long form podcasts, hits, let's go to Sham Sharma's podcast. The hits are there for the short 10-minute videos. And that's the reason the subscriber count goes up. But look at his long form podcast. They don't get a lot of hits either. So it's just the nature. I'm not doing short videos, so I'm not going to get hits. It is what it is. Isn't News Laundry left wing? David Gomes asks me. They always criticize Modi and BJP, especially that Manisha Pandey girl. Yeah, they are left wing, but you should listen to left wingers, right? I mean, that's how you learn what the other side is saying. Watch Kunal Kamra's podcast. He's like George Carlin. Oh, sharam karo yaar. Oh, Kunal Kamra George Carlin hai. Oh, चुल्लू भर पानी में डूब मरो सिद्धार्थ दत्ता. देखो मेरी दुखती रग को हाथ रख दिया. कहाँ जॉर्ज कार्लिन, कहाँ कुणाल कामरा. देखो मैं गुस्से में आया, मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ. शर्म करो यार. छी, कुणाल कामरा जॉर्ज कार्लिन है. क्या है यार? Kushal, I want you to do a monologue on nationalism and how even extreme nationalism, as long as it is not violent, should not be a taboo, assuming you can steelman an argument against it. Okay, Amog, I'll think about it. I'll try to. You know what? Two subjects I wanted to talk about was the 4 types of karma. That is your Sanchit karma, Prarabdha karma, Kriya Mana karma, and Agami karma. I wanted to talk more about 4 types of karma people would have gotten, and the theory of causation in Sankhya, Satkaryavada and Asatkaryavada. I wanted to talk about that also someday. Maybe somewhere. Okay, Edward Butler is a polytheist pagan. Okay, I'll check him out. Call Gapistan Radio. Gapistan has been on my podcast with Rahul Roshan Siddharth, if you can check it. If Rajiv rephrases Cārvāka definition, will you endorse him intellectually? If he corrects it, then I've got no problem. If he corrects that atheists are also part of the Hindu pantheon, then I got no problems with him. Then I'll just laugh at him for sharing the stage with Nityananda. That's okay. You should get Swami Om on your podcast. I don't know, man, who is he? Swami Om Patani. I watched a conversation between Devdutt Patnaik and an Indian leftist anchor. A lot of what you said today was exactly said by him. Yeah, I know. Devdutt can say a lot of balanced things too. I don't know why Devdutt is demonized. I think uski demonization ka bahut bada karan Rajiv ji bhi hai. But you know what? His Sanskrit translations are really not very honest. अगर आपको चेक करना ना, देवदत्त का सबसे अच्छा translations का critique is done by this guy called Nityananda Misra.
He has really broken down. It was not only on Rajiv Malhotra's channel, but he's written a lot about it too. Nityananda to is amazing. So you know what he did? He told Audrey that Rutgers या जो भी university की so-called Sanskrit expert, he basically challenged her to a debate in Sanskrit. He's like, मैं संस्कृत में बोलूंगा, आजा debate कर. She never replied apparently. What do you think of? कहाँ गया यार? What do you think of 9/11? Do you think Muslims did it? What kind of a fucked up question is that? Well, at least you have 40 more on live now. What do you think about the channels Satya Sanatan and Thanks Bharat? I have no idea about them. They must be political outrage channels. That's why I don't know about them. I find discussions on Canadian Tag TV by Tahir Gora. Oh yeah, that's something I watch. I love Tahir Gora. I want to invite Tahir Saab on my podcast. I really like him. Kushal, trust me, you don't suck. You like the clickbaits and outrage culture that is growing today. That's okay. I also think that has been my rationalization. Just dream that somewhere on the stage Modi says, "Ye podcast wala kya hai?" That's a good plan, man. Should Indians in the West engage in identity politics just as the Muslims, Hispanics, and blacks have? I won't. I will not speak for others. I think if I start engaging in identity politics, I engage in the same adharmic, ghettoized, segregated template, and I'm too dharmic for that. I reject it, man. So sorry, I won't do that. Thoughts on Stephen Molyneux? I don't like him, man. Anybody who's too obsessed with race and IQ beyond a certain point, I raise my antennas. I think you should invest a little more like Joe Rogan, even like we do, get better mic. Oh, bhai, my mic is supremely awesome. I have invested on a good mic. क्या बात कर रहा है यार? My mic is awesome. I'm interested in studying Hindu philosophy. Where do I start? Well, if you, David, why don't you do this? Watch all the 3 monologues I've done before this. Just search my channel. I've shared a lot of books in that. Yeah, that's a good starting point. Keep a beard like Abhinandan. Your channel will grow. That's awesome. Mucho wale uncle. That's what I call him. Just as there are different religions, there are different types of nationalism, some more benevolent than others. What do you think? Totally agree. My problem is that that kind of nationalism. That is a problem. I think the soft nationalism is basically patriotism, but हमारे देश में उसको सब nationalism बोलते हैं. But it's okay यार, जो बोलना बोलो. Nitin Rivaldo's Hafal video really rocked the internet. This shows that Indians do consume information, but it has to be quoted with humor and not too long. I agree. And that's why I'm saying मेरे numbers कभी ज़्यादा नहीं होंगे क्योंकि मैं short form नहीं करने वाला हूँ. Man, I don't have time. Do you know that 10-minute video that Sham does? I was talking to Sham. He takes 8 hours to do that. 8 घंटे कहाँ से निकालूं? मैं इतनी books पढ़ता हूँ. I have to study for my masters in philosophy. I have a full-time factory. I can't do that, man. That's why I just do this freestyle monologue. Get Nityananda Misra on your podcast. I'm going to try, man. But we're trying to find a date. I want to do it after the election because the last 2 months I'm going to be highly political till the elections. But maybe after that. What's your view on Amit Tripathi? I think you mean Amish Tripathi. He's amazing, man. Amish is a rock star. Will you try to invite Meenakshi Jain? Yeah, that's in progress. Dates are an issue. Meenakshi ji is traveling a lot. You don't like Muslims, please help. Chikara killer, go fuck yourself. Right, what else is there? I think Satya Sanatan is an Indian atheist channel in Hindi. पता नहीं यार, मैं नहीं देखता यार, इतना time नहीं है अपने पास. I just don't find it very interesting. What is your take regarding Isha Foundation, Sadhguru, Jaggi Vasudev? Doing some good work. I don't agree with their metaphysical claims. It ends there. How do I convince right wingers about importance of free speech? Which is
the agenda of the right wing that can have a superiority over left? Nothing, man. India does not have a right wing. India just has a reactionary non-left. That's all India has. And India just has two different types of authoritarians. One authoritarian does not like the criticism of Islam. One authoritarian does not like the criticism of Hinduism. See, I'm going to make a few t-shirts. One of them is going to be, I believe in free speech as long as you agree with what I have to say. That's going to be my t-shirt. That's what free speech in India is. Majority of people do not support free speech. So yaar, ummeed zyada mat lo. I like your monologue. Thanks a lot. Do invite some Adivasi scholars, some Dalit leaders. Well, if Dalit scholar, I have had Abhinav Prakash on my podcast. I think he's a Dalit scholar. I want to talk to Guru Prakash. He's another scholar. That's someone I want to talk to. Can you do brief episodes explaining Hindu epistemology in the future? Yeah, I'm going to do. Maybe next time I can do a monologue where I'll explain some Hindu epistemology. I'll do that. But it's so time consuming, man. I mean, एक को पकड़ना पड़ेगा फिर एक दर्शन के बारे में बात करनी पड़ेगी. Okay, somebody corrected Uday. सत्य सनातन is an आर्य समाजी चैनल. ओ यार उदय मेरे को क्या मरवा रहे हो यार? What if there are aliens and they have their own kinds of religions and philosophies in some planets real far away? If yes, all philosophies are rendered completely useless. We'll deal with it when we come across it. What is the difference between Rashtra and nation? That's a very good question. Depends. A Rashtra could be a loose concept with more flexible boundaries. A Rashtra could be a memeplex too. I think a nation is only an landmass. Could be. Again, could be wrong. Also invite Rajiv Malhotra to your podcast. मुझे नहीं लगता वो आएंगे. मुझे doubt है. Anyways. Please invite Shefali Vedya. Okay, I'll invite her. I actually had, but then we never got in touch. So actually, मेरी भी mistake है थोड़ी. Kushal, do you live in Mumbai or Canada? Used to live in Canada. Now I live in Mumbai. Don't get angry, but did you recommend that ask Waleed when Ashish Dhar? Oh yaar, oh tu Waleed ko hi pooch lena. I told him to talk to Ashish Dhar. Learning Hinduism from Cārvākas is a bad idea. That's funny. You might not like Sadhguru, even I don't, but currently in our public discourse, he's the only guy who tries to debate with the other side and convince them to some extent. I never said I dislike Sadhguru. I think my answer to Sadhguru is that I am indifferent. Sometimes in life, you don't like or dislike people. You're just indifferent to them. I'm indifferent to Sadhguru. Like I'm indifferent to a lot of food. I don't have an opinion on it. It's like that. Why do you think Hindus were obsessed with saving idols, temples in medieval period? I am not equipped to answer that question, man. So I will stay away from it. I can't answer that question. Call Gurmehar Kaur to discuss Indo-Pak relations and how to solve it. I'd actually call her, man. I would be more than happy to chat with her. I'm okay. Oh, give me your address and I will come and teach you a lesson, Saleh Harami. My thoughts on Swami Ramdev. Great yoga, great Ayurveda, great FMCG. Should not have an opinion on every political thing, or I don't take every political thing he says seriously. Amok says, I'll buy that t-shirt. Great. Good. Okay. What else? All Vaman Meshram Dalit try to discuss their Mool Nivasi rhetoric. Can you email me, man? Can you email me a bit of information about him? I'm really requesting you. So I can study it and then I can actually talk to him. What do you think about lack of politically unifying idea in Indian philosophical space? I'm confused by your question, Steel Nerve. What do you mean by political unity? Political unity can be achieved by having a state and a federal system where everybody has a lot of freedom and a very decentralized system, but a few matters are in the hands of the center. So that is fine. I think we have achieved that. We are now a politically unified idea where we are a federal polity where states basically have a lot of power in India. The center is not as strong as a lot of people think it is.
I think it's a good system. I think Indian philosophical space has a lot of space for that. Even Kautilya, in some way, was trying to achieve that, right? Kautilya's state was authoritarian. I'm not saying it was a liberal state, but it was selectively authoritarian. He was like, you guys can do few things the way you want to do, but some things I'm not going to let you do. So I think it can be achieved. You can use enough mental gymnastics to evolve out of certain authoritarian ideas, even in the old Indian state. I believe it can be achieved. Okay, Kshitij, how should a normal Indian do their bit on ending this birth-based caste system? Should we retain any caste aspects? I don't think so. I think it should be thrown into the dustbin of history. As far as that argument of caste being a social capital, ठीक है, थोड़ी जाति based तुम्हारी practices हैं. Some of them are related to the culture. If you want to retain them, they can be retained, but they can be retained and made into not jati specific but India specific practices. We can do that. It's not a big deal. We'll always have some jati specific practices like that. Some jatis might want to celebrate Mahishasur. We'll always have that in our society, and we'll have to leave some space for that. But overall, the birth based caste system is just a piece of shit, and it should be rejected, lock, stock, and barrel. Rashtra is landmass plus culture and civilization. Nation is equal to just landmass. Yeah, I agree with you, Santosh Krishnan. I actually would buy that. But I think we'll have to keep the boundaries slightly flexible, considering if you guys saw my discussion with Sachin Nanda last time, where do we put the Hindus outside India in that? Uske bare mein bhi to sochna padega na. We'll have to think about it. So Rashtra has to be slightly more flexible. Why do you hate Rahul Gandhi? After all, he's a Brahmin Shiv Bhakt. I actually love Rahul Gandhi. He's so entertaining. आ गया यार, ये फिर ऊपर चले जाता है. गुस्से में हिंदी निकलती है और इरिटेशन में पंजाबी निकलती है तुम्हारी. Spot on, my brother. Spot on. What if all spiritual experiences that people had were just their mind playing tricks, just like psychedelic drugs do? I think that's what it is pretty much. I have no evidence, but if I had to rationalize and pick a side, I would actually pick that side. That's why I don't agree with Farhan Qureshi. If you guys saw my discussion with Farhan, that's pretty much what I was saying. Please call some leftists and confront them and try to understand their problem with Hindus. Believe me, I've called them. बहुत कम आते हैं. आते नहीं है बहुत. Dr. DRS Nair, question. Just joined. Missed the earlier bit. Only saw your monologue at the beginning at 2x. Ads are the perfect scam. MNC pays for the ad, promotes ad wala's agenda, then MNC takes responsibility. Cārvāka podcast. Unlike Confucianism or rule of law, historically we don't have a political core as such. Do we? No, actually I don't agree. The Smriti was what? We were trying to create a rule of law based society, right? Smritis were your rule books. So we did have a concept of politics. I don't agree with you that we did not have a... Yeah, Arthashastra had a bloody foreign policy. It was like 70% of Arthashastra was all about foreign policy. So how do you think they are not political? A person thinking of foreign policy is not political. Foreign policy is a major part of your politics. So I don't agree with you. Can you invite a hardcore leftist? I would like to watch. यार तुम बात कर लो यार, मेरे को क्यों फंसाते हो इनके साथ? Do you think there will be more New Zealand type attacks around the world if brainwashed Islam adherents don't reform? I hope not, but I don't know. Do you know about Bhim Army? Try to understand them. Don't you find it's more interesting to understand opponents rather than talk between us? I try to understand opponents. I try to talk them, but अगर वो आएंगे नहीं तो मैं क्या करूँ? मैं तो पढ़ता भी हूँ उनके बारे में. What is your opinion about the existence of left and right wing in India? Like they do? I don't think so. India has a left wing and a right wing. India has a left wing and a non-left. India does not have a right wing. I don't believe. Podcast with Amit ji on health issues. Actually, I'm sorry, Nimish, I completely forgot. मेरे को यार DM पे याद दिलाया कर ये चीजें. मेरे को भूल जाती हैं. Razor's Edge, शेव कर. भाई तेरा तो नाम ही Razor's Edge है. तू तो शेव करने को बोलेगा ही.
Hi, Ash here. If you were to describe someone in one word, the one word for Mamta Banerjee will be angry. I think one part of the solution to end casteism in India is ending reservation, arakshan, and not putting religion, caste, on birth certificates. I agree with the second part. I partially disagree with the first part. I think we should go into the pre-Mandal days. I still believe SC/STs deserve reservations in India. I have worked in rural India. I have seen the benefits of reservation. Believe me, they deserve it. I don't have time to explain because it's been an hour and a half and I want to wrap things up in the next 10-15 minutes. But believe me, guys, reservation is a good thing. Why do idiots still use the Brahmin label when a Brahmin isn't a Jati? There are no Indians who have qualities of a Brahmin. Anand, I agree with you. If you remember, I was trolled on Twitter when I had challenged people who had said, RT, if you're a proud Brahmin. I had challenged them. I was like, ek taraf tum besharam, all you pieces of shit. When people say Hinduism has a birth-based caste system, say, oh, where do we have birth-based caste system? And then RT, if you're a proud Brahmin, what is your qualifying criteria, bhaiya? How did you become a Brahmin? Show me your guna karma. Tala, you are doing some back-end tech support work in a bloody call center and you are a proud Brahmin. Kahe ke Brahmin ho bhai tum? This is my problem. That's why I say caste is a garbage concept. Dump it. I have hardcore BJP voters in my friend circle, but all of them are confused about their politics. Some are even communist and socialist. Only Modi unites them. Siddharth, BJP is a left-wing party. Arun Shori was right when he said there is one party that likes the cow, one party does not like the cow. Even that difference is broken now. Even Congress likes the cow. Ab kya karoge? Congress and BJP are the same. There are some minor differences which are on the Ram Mandir, etc., etc. Just imagine, just think about it. Congress says Ram Mandir banega. Congress says Article 377 should go, 370 should go, 35A should go, and अखंड भारत बोल दे. क्या डिफरेंस रह गया कांग्रेस और बीजेपी में? कुछ है ही नहीं. There is no difference. Loved your discussion with Sachin Nanda. What is his nativity in India, or which Hindu darshana does he follow? Sachin does not really follow one darshana. I think he is agnostic. In many ways, he's a skeptic, but he likes to float in many darshanic boats. That's how I would understand Sachin. He's a good friend of mine now. We've known each other for a while. He's a very nice guy. One of the nicest people you'll actually meet in your life. Very kind-hearted guy. Could removing our surname be a good start to end the caste system? I don't think so. Removing the surname would end the caste system. I think the caste system will end the day we stop looking at our surname from a caste prism. All we need to do is, यार मेरे को एक बात बताओ, तुमको सरनेम से जात पता चलती है? अभी धीरे धीरे जो बड़े शहरों में लोग रह रहे हैं बच्चे, उनको कोई जात मालूम पड़ती है क्या सरनेम से? ये सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस को मालूम होती है और एक सर्टेन स्ट्राटा को मालूम होती है जो इसमें इन्वॉल्व होता है. Everybody does not know the जात from the caste, from the surname. I don't agree with you. Let's see. Why do you hate left? I don't hate leftists. I hate left-wing ideology. I believe they have a bad set of ideas. I have leftist friends, man. Why communism has existed? कहाँ गया यार? Existed in Kerala, West Bengal, and other few states, and has not spread to other states in India. Any specific reason? Politically, maybe. I think the intelligentsia over there was hijacked by the communists far more, and then it just went downstream from there. I really don't have a specific answer for this. I've not thought about it, so I will say I don't know. If psychedelic is equal to spirituality, in that case, I'm the most spiritual person in India. Troll wizard. बढ़िया है. Call Saurabh Pant. I think he's willing to interact with us, even though he is center to left. भाई मिलवा दो सौरभ पंत से, email ID या कुछ दे दो, मैं उसको बुला लेता हूँ. Why do you think we did not invade foreign lands? I don't know. I think our philosophy is not expansionist. I think that's why we did not invade them beyond a point. So why do you think the Indian state entities have had so poor records in the last 1,000 years? Most native state entities have been quite unstable.
think it's the nature of the Hindu way in some ways, where we have always believed in a more decentralized state. The Abrahamic state was top down, the Hindu state was bottom up. So bottom up states sometimes tend to have these problems. Look at it this way, extreme libertarianism never works. And I have always believed, the Hindu philosophy in a lot of ways is very libertarian. And I think libertarianism is flawed. So even some ways Hindu philosophy has to be flawed too. We need to have that balance between some state intervention. So in that way, the modern state has some answers to the problem in the old Indian way. But I will not agree with your conclusion that the Indian way was completely like, hocus pocus, every man for himself kind of a thing. No, we had a concept of a state, but we are refining it. What can we do to legalize weed again? Can we use some real? Yeah, religiously to hai na legal. Bhang to legal hai. You get bhang seeds in government shops in India. We have to make it completely legal. सब लोग शांत हो जाएंगे. How do you get people on your channel? What is your pitch like? I don't know, man. Most of these people actually know me. Either they follow me on Twitter or I'll write an email to them. I'll say, I have this podcast. I've spoken to these people. Would you like to come? They say yes. Sometimes I know a guest who's come on my podcast. Who knows them? I tell them to tell them. Just like that. Like everybody else does it. When you say India doesn't have a right wing, what is your opinion in the actual right wing? The Western right wing. Then okay, there are some white nationalists in that side that I would not approve of. But if your question is whom would I vote for if I was in the West, I would neither vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. I would vote for that Gary Johnson libertarian. If I was in Canada, I would still probably consider voting for Stephen Harper because the Canadian right wing is actually very centrist. They're not very right like the American right wing. So I'd actually not mind voting for the right wing in Canada, but no, not in America. I cannot vote for the Republicans in America. Oh, young man, please get deeper and enrich yourself with passionate encounters with all classes of Indians. You have a long way ahead of you. Okay, uncle. ओहो, मैंने ब्राह्मण समाज का अपमान किया है. क्या बात है? Please run a deep marathon. Don't get tricked into running a sprint. Okay, uncle. Thoughts on J. Krishnamurti? Have you even understood him? I've not read a lot of J. Krishnamurti. Only एक book पढ़ी थी उनकी. So I don't have an in-depth view. How can we convince people like Haris Sultan on our perspective on the Kashmir issue? Last time you couldn't satisfy it. I don't care if Haris is satisfied or not. So he's not satisfied. Big deal. Why do I have to satisfy Haris? If he doesn't agree, he doesn't agree. It's like, why do I have to satisfy someone on why do they not like the taste of butter chicken and they like mutton Rogan Josh? I don't care. Let them have their view. I'm not going to leave my point of view. Kashmir is a part of India. Jo khadlo khadlo. What do you say? There is no right wing in India. What is missing in the Indian non-left, which could have made them proper right winger? I'm actually happy in a way that they're not very right wing. I wish they were right wing in the sense of capitalism and free markets, but in the sense of the American right wing where they have the crazy bigoted side to them, I don't want them to be like that. So I think the Indian right wing should become libertarian, socially liberal, fiscally conservative. And I think most Hindu philosophy is like that, socially liberal, fiscally conservative. I think that was that. जात कौन? मेरे को मेरी जात मालूम नहीं है भाई. अगर बोल देता तो पता चल जाता था. Dynasty and merit separates BJP from Congress. BJP is dynastically more decentralized. BJP में भी dynasties हैं, मगर the thing about BJP is because they are all competing against each other and one family does not have a superimposed control, so the dynasty element is kind of nullified for that reason. And BJP dynasty is just like a typical feudal Indian society where some people are privileged and they get ahead because they are from a political background. So in that sense, yes, BJP is definitely better than Congress. I completely concede that point. And that's why I like BJP too. और क्या है? Maybe in your big city, caste doesn't matter, but in rural interiors, it's still a big factor. Man, why are you telling me the thing that I keep repeating on my podcast? Should you think we should have more states for faster growth?
I actually agree. I think the smaller states are a better idea. I would support it. Have you read Steven Pinker? I have read 4 books of Steven Pinker. Better Angels of Our Nature. What was that one? The Language Game. Then Enlightenment Now, and one more book of his. I've read 4 books of Steven Pinker. I've actually read a lot of Pinker. Should there be government? Should there be government approved clinics where people could do drugs safely and cheaply under medical supervision? Absolutely. Just check out what has happened in Switzerland with heroin. They issue heroin in government approved clinics. Their heroin usage has dropped significantly. Just check it out. Brilliant study. Kushal ji, we want your convo sessions with Ankur Arya. Many got to know Haris Sultan only after his debate with Ankur Arya. यार तो उसको बोल दो मुझे बुला ले, मैं बात कर लूंगा उससे, मैं उसको नहीं जानता. Do you believe in transgenerational trauma? Are Hindu victims of this trauma over the past century? In this reason, we have gotten our Kshatriyatva. I always say in Hindu society or Hindus in general have a post-traumatic stress disorder because of the 1200 years of colonialism. I've always maintained that. So yeah, in a way, and now Hindus are just freaking pissed off in a major way that we've had enough of being told we are horrible all the time, and this is like the Hindu way of saying fuck you, हाँ मैं है ऐसा. I do get it, but I hope we don't lose our inherent dharmic nature in this whole process. So basically, British state traditions have been beneficial to India to some extent. Yes, some extent. यार ऐसे तो हो नहीं सकता कि अंग्रेज आए और कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं देखे गए. They must have given something nice, right? But that doesn't mean it justifies their rule of India. We could have become a democracy without them ruling us also. ऐसा कुछ नहीं. Will racial tension ever be solved in India? Yeah, we are the same race. I think you mean to say is religious and class tension in India. I think some of it will always remain, but by and large, we are actually reducing the tension, not increasing it. Have you noticed that the Medik model was hybrid, were essentially communists providing their service, and all the while Shudras and Vaishyas were essentially capitalist? Why were the Brahmins communist, man? I don't agree with you. I think it was, I don't know, man. For the last 200,000 years, it has been a very rigid model, which has been very bigoted. To be very honest, the genetic data clearly shows that castes were not intermingling. Before that, maybe, look, any natural society will create hierarchies because that's how human beings evolve. The problem is when those hierarchies become rigid. And that's why the left wing exists in this world. The primary job of the left wing is to identify hierarchies and keep telling people problem, problem, problem. The thing is, they don't go beyond that. When they solve the problem, they should do something else. They still think that's the same thing existing. Do you think Trump is right-wing? Look at his fan base, white racists plus blue-collar workers. I don't think so. Trump is the classical conservative. I am that guest you are talking about. Came here after Haris podcast. मैं समझा नहीं आपने क्या बोला रोहित शर्मा. Correction. Ayahuasca, the South American herb that Farhan Qureshi took, is not a psychedelic like LSD. It's a process. Bhai Saab, he has not just taken ayahuasca. He's taken LSD and even I think the other one. I forgot the name. उसने 3-4 किए हैं. Invite Bangladeshi atheist Asad Noor Arifur Rahman. Okay, thank you. Email me. I forget names. Dynasty politics does not exist in AAP. AAP has a lot of other things. So, AAP ko Mubarak. What good is society on dharmic principles when we were unsuccessful against the invaders? I don't think so. We are unsuccessful against the invaders, man. Stop beating yourself. Are chicken haram foods as per old Vedic list? I only read it in Al-Birini's book. By the way, both butter chicken and mutton rogan josh suck. I would disagree with you, Harshit. Butter chicken rocks. Your caste is Khatri. I know my caste is Khatri because I wrote it on the calendar. I don't give a shit about it. That's what I said it on the podcast. I said I don't give a shit about it. I know it because अब स्कूल में फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड से 10th स्टैंडर्ड तक, बाद में कॉलेज में भी लिखवाओगे तो मालूम तो होगा ना. अगर नहीं लिखवाते थे तो मालूम ही नहीं होती थी. क्या उखाड़ा खत्री बोल के अपने आप को. वैसे भी I have subscribed to Op India, but I'm not able to make my friends subscribe because Op India is too obsessed with politics and Rahul Gandhi. Op India needs to diversify. The email is feedback@opindia.com, Siddharth. Don't try to be politically correct. If I am politically correct, I don't know what, you don't know me. But anyways, it's okay. Best of luck, uncle. If Pandits are allowed to return and allowed to live freely and safely in Kashmir, will their secession from India be acceptable idea? No. What are your views on Indian education system? Mediocre. Can you try to bring some expert on Sikh history and Sikhism? Actually, good suggestion, Akshit. सोचता हूँ इसके बारे में. Will a benevolent dictatorship succeed in India? तो यार कभी dictatorship benevolent होती है क्या? ये कैसा क्वेश्चन है? एक डिक्टेटर बेनेवलेंट होगा, डिक्टेटरशिप बेनेवलेंट नहीं होती है, क्योंकि डिक्टेटर का बेटा आएगा वो जरूरी है बेनेवलेंट होने वाला है, वो तुमको जुत्ती मारेगा. ये कैसा क्वेश्चन है? कोई नहीं होता. लात मारो डिक्टेटरशिप को. If you deal with Hinduism, यार ये अंकल पका रहा है. Do you know about Kyrgyzstan? Actually, I do. It's useless. What do you think about walls in America? Matlab, the border wall? Well, if you are a nation, you need walls and you need to, matlab, not that wall, you can have a fencing or some sort. Whatever. I believe nations have boundaries, so you have to have that. What is civilizational for you? How is it not equal to nationalism in the case of India? Well, it's simple, because my civilizationalism is actually far more loose in terms of boundaries. I think I believe anybody who buys a certain set of ideas or memeplexes should be given the natural rights to live and come to India without any problems, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion. So it's not like that, right? Indian nationalism is very ethnocentric. My nationalism is not ethnocentric. It is, even if you're a white guy, I think you can be part of the Indian civilizational dream. So that's how I'm different to what is practiced as nationalism in India. What do you think about Goraksha? I think the Indic cow, Bos indicus, is getting extinct, so we should support it. But if somebody wants to eat beef, I don't care. That's my view. But Hindus should try to save the cow, because that cow, I believe that cow is an old breed. Just like we are saving the tiger, we can save one more breed, right? Otherwise, नहीं तो tiger को भी क्यों save करना? उसको भी खा लो ना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Do you concur with Subramaniam Swami's opinion that Aryan and Dravidian theory is fugazi and meant for divide and rule? Look, man, my views on Aryan invasion theory or the out of India theory is this. You have geneticists showing data from there to here. You have geneticists showing data from here to there. I am not qualified enough to answer both of their cases. What I am qualified enough or sensible enough is to answer this. The culture originated here. I don't give a shit about where these people came from, personally. ऐसे तो we all come from Africa. So why are we obsessed about only 5,000 years or 6,000 years? ऐसे सारे अफ्रीका से ही आए हुए हैं. तो फर्क क्या पड़ता है? वो मुझे इतना बॉदर नहीं करता है. But the point is, where is this culture originating from? I believe the culture originates in India, and that is the culture of everybody, whether Northern Indian or Southern Indian. When will you do mushrooms or LSD, given that you are now old and it may actually help your philosophy education? I don't want to do it. I'm not into that. How does your friend Ruben feel about Kejriwal begging to Congress to form an alliance? I actually not have spoken to him about that. Because now that you reminded me, I'm going to call him and troll him. Kya haal hai? That's a very good question. What do you think will be more successful in tackling radicalism? Ex-Muslims, reformist Muslims, or moderate ones who keep quiet? I think everybody. It's never one or the other. Because you're assuming that all human beings are okay with one set of ideas. The point is, human beings are multifaceted. We need multifaceted solutions for multifaceted species like human. Should Delhi be a full state? तो क्या होगा मेरे को मालूम नहीं. फिर पुलिस की प्रॉब्लम होगी ना. तो imagine a scenario where the prime minister is in Delhi. So who has control over the police? This is actually a clusterfuck, man. I think if the prime minister is in Delhi, at least in Delhi, the central government has to have control over the police. But then if Delhi becomes a full state, then the police goes under the chief minister. And you know how India is. It could create serious issues. So I think it's a very problematic situation with Delhi. Mumbai में होता था तो कोई issue नहीं होता था ये. What about citizen amendment bill? I think we have to take care of the issues of the people of Assam. Beyond that, I support the bill. What were your issues with Hindu Charter of Demands? Oh man, don't. It was useless. I disagreed with most of the things there. A podcast with Anuj Dhar. Yeah, he wants to come in Bombay and do it. I can't keep on track of where he is all the time. So that's my view. What do you think about Zakir Naik? Please don't scold me in Hindi if you're angry with this question. What do I think of Zakir Naik? He's an idiot. Have you played The Witcher 3? It has a brilliant story based on pagan Polish myths. No, I'm not, my dear friend. Get Anuj Dhar on the podcast. Okay, I'll mail him. Why do Pakistanis deny their ancestry? Because if they deny their ancestry, that's the only way they stay different from us. अगर उन्होंने ancestry accept कर ली और उन्होंने बोल दिया हम तो इंडियन थे, तो फिर अलग क्यों है? पोपट हो जाता है उनका पूरा premise ही ये है. Do you have strong negative opinions on Tariq Fatah and Imam Tawhidi? No. I have neither positive nor negative opinions about them. I don't know them enough to have an opinion. I think they are a net positive, not a net negative. Your opinion on Kejriwal literally begging the people whom he called thieves for an alliance. He has no confidence. Kejriwal is a joke, man. Anyways, guys, I think it's been 2 hours now and my throat is toast. So I think I've kind of answered every question, which is a significant achievement if you ask me. So once again, thanks a lot. And hopefully I'll do a monologue in the next month or the month after that, whenever I get some spare time. And thanks for the lovely questions. And if you like what I'm doing over here, please subscribe, like, and until then, see you all. Good night. Goodbye. Namaste.